Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew, and I wanted to talk briefly about some of the ingredients to a well-rounded musician. Okay, just my opinion on some of this stuff, but as I teach my students and I try to give them good advice on what I believe to be effective ways of organizing their efforts, I try to divide some of these skills that are necessary into easily understood sections, right? So for example, as you see in front of you now, there are 3 ingredients to a well-rounded musician, okay? And what are they? Well, first of all, a little bit of a problem here with my video. Okay, so give me a second. Give me a moment. It certainly would be nice if that was upright more, wouldn't it? Anyways, guys, have you read it yet? Did you read it? Let me just kind of tell you what I got on here. Okay, so the 3 ingredients to a well-rounded musician, in my opinion, are first, instincts. And you have been learning those your entire life. Thank yourself, thank your parents, thank your friends. Knowledge. You see, knowledge has been compiled through language and symbols and arts and past experiences, as you see in the circle. And it's really, really accessible now compared to maybe times in the past. Just an opinion, again. Lastly, the third ingredient to a well-rounded musician is coordination. We must coordinate our movements, our thoughts, and our actions, and our time, and our efforts. Those are all different ways of coordinating things. So not only the movements to play the music, but you also have to coordinate your calendar, your schedule. You got to find time. I can't tell you how often people don't find the time to practice. And, if you think it's all for naught, then it might feel like it's all for naught. But I assure you, when you put effort in, you will get reward out. It may not be in the form of money, but think of your practice time as a bank account that you are always putting a little bit away, and you will be able to withdraw value from that account in the future that you wouldn't even want to get rid of for dollars. Okay, so now we've talked about instincts being just something that you have, that you just have. You know about long, you know about short, you know about good and bad and big and small and right and wrong. Use those instincts. I can't teach you those. That's on you. Knowledge, that's my job. My job here is to teach you a little bit about music as far as what I've experienced and learned in both academia and real life music. Okay, so first of all, can we just agree that those are pretty obvious things that you would need? You have to have instincts to make your own decisions. Knowledge, because if you don't understand the pictures, the symbols, how are you going to understand how to play it? And coordination, that's the most important thing for you to earn. You have to earn it. Whereas the knowledge, you'll learn it. And instincts, you've got it. So there's really nothing stopping you. All right, if you can walk and talk, you're already a musician. And that's what I truly believe. So warming up. Warming up should be a very freeing experience. You should choose anything you enjoy and have fun. That's what I wrote. I wrote it from my own words. That's why I'm saying the exact same thing. Because why reinvent something that I already put thought into? The next section, sight reading. Sight reading is a necessary skill. The ability to look, gather, and do will only come with time and patience, right? So for you to be able to look at music and go, yeah, I understand that. Watch this. I could play it accurately. Well, that's not going to happen overnight. If that's what you're looking for, you might as well get yourself a radio because this is going to take time and patience for you to be able to look, gather what the page is asking you, and for you to ultimately do in a short period of time, And I don't mean short period of time as in like overnight. I mean, when you play music, you're making lots and lots of decisions that you're reading if you're sight reading, okay? Sight reading is only for the first time, technically. If you've seen it twice, I can't necessarily call it a sight reading, but it's not that serious. We're not that serious here. I say certainly should try twice, okay? But if we're talking about the purest form of sight reading. It's just something you never played before. Put it in front of you, try to play it. You'll experience what I'm talking about as I demonstrate my own shortcomings on that and strategies on how to get good at it. All right, moving on. Exercises. Exercises is the next thing on my chart here, and those are things that we do that will make us better, right? Exercises certainly will make anyone a better player. Work on your strengths and your weaknesses regularly. Is it weaknesses or weeknight? I don't know. I assume it's weaknesses. I like to say weeknight, but you can see I put weaknesses. All right, the last thing I have on here would be repertoire. Repertoire is simply like your musical resume. Okay, so it's simply refers to the songs or pieces an individual is prepared to play. Improvising as well as composing qualify, I do believe, but kind of, you're gonna have to like cross that bridge when you get there if we're talking about improvising or composing equally. But if you're got a song you've learned and you maintain that piece, that is on your repertoire. Okay, so remember, find joy through expression. All right, let's move on, shall we? We're gonna flip this page over and talk about the pie chart. Okay, so here's a quote that I put at the top of the page. I will let you read it yourself there because I'm going to mess it up. Ignacy Paderewski is a virtuoso musician, and a quote that he has said or has been referred to him, credited to him, is, "If I miss one day of practice, I notice it. If I miss 2 days, the critics notice it. If I miss 3 days, the audience knows it." Okay, so the goal here is to not miss 3 days. So you're talking about like learning to play some music and getting in the routine here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. What we don't want is any of this, or even that's okay. But certainly more is more mathematically. I don't think anybody can really argue with that statement. When is more not more? All right, anyways, let's just say for today, we're not too worried about picking a practice routine. But you are certainly going to need to pick a practice routine when you're ready. So this particular page talks about practice routines, gives you what I like to call my little pie chart here, and I break up the time into different activities, all right? So the smallest piece, 2 smallest pieces, those are 1/8 of the circle. That's warming up, which we've already talked about. Should be anything fun or familiar. You should be able to easily do that for a little bit, just kind of make stuff up and kind of get into the thought process of music instead of life, okay? The next thing I want you to try to consider doing in your practice routine is sight reading, right? Anything new to your eyes, anything. Any music you've never played, just look at it. If you play 4 notes and you were looking at it, that's okay, all right? There's not look at it and play it. That's not the point. So just to review, a warm-up should be like kind of fun and kind of freeing and totally open and just whatever you want, right? I don't think we really want to be too bossy on how you warm up, okay? Sight reading should be the opposite of that. It should be very, very specific, and you're trying to read what you see. You look, you gather, and you do. You are not supposed to rush through that process. You look, you ponder. That's what I mean by gather. You look at it, you see the information, you wonder what it's asking you, and then you do it, okay? And if that is a slow process, that's okay. In fact, that will serve you well because time doesn't go slow. So you'll have to do less of it if you were trying to practice. Okay, exercises. Exercises shown by the weight on the screen here. That is talking about strengths and weaknesses, okay? You have to be able to do things with a metric and with repetition. How else will you get better? How else will you know how things are going, right? So I believe exercises is probably the most important part of all this because, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, that's how you're going to get better. But what's the point of music if you don't play music? So half of this pie is set up to be just music, right? You're trying to play songs and pieces, improvisation and exploration. I think those things evolve with time. No one's a great student when it comes to like the model student. I've never met them, and everybody's different. So let's just keep the theme here of honesty is our best policy, and let's be bold when we speak the truth about our own efforts and what we have that we can improve upon. Okay, so the next part of this page here, below the pie chart, right down here, right down here, right in this middle portion, that's going to be the calendar, right? You notice I put the 7 days of the week because we're looking for consistency and maybe like trying to be developing a routine that is consistent and gets us used to doing it. You know, it's like combing your hair or something like that. If you do it, you gotta do things sometimes. Pay bills, eat food, all the stuff in life. There's a time and a place, and there's time for most of it. But where does the time go? You see, I have some different hypotheticals here. I know there's only 24 hours in a day, so it's like I tried to just have some different things. Like, do you like to sleep a lot? Do you sleep 10 hours a day? And like, do you eat a lot? And do you have like a lot of responsibilities and like no free time? That's the question. But spoiler alert, there's always time, because, you know, you could be proactive and diligent in trying to be creative in the ways you practice. Practice does not have to exclusively be in a chair with your instrument making noise. You can practice creatively and do things away from it. For example, can you say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, F, D, B, G, E, C, A. And the last one I'll say is A, E, B, F, C, G, D, or D, G, C, F, B, E, A. Okay, that one was difficult, but I did do all those in my mind. That is a good exercise to do, and you'll notice you did not hear any instruments, right? I could do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, E, A, or A, C, E, G, B, D, F, F, D, B, G, E, C, A, or I could do A, E, B, F, C, G, D, or D, G, C, F, B, E, A. That was on the instrument, or a instrument. The point I'm trying to make is there is no template for what success looks like. There's just different versions of success. Okay, so this is really important here, guys. Your daily activities. I probably missed something, but you got sleeping, eating, responsibilities, and free time. So look at this person here has no free time hardly. They got like 3 hours of free time. They probably don't know they do. They probably tell people, oh, I don't have any time. But that person, you got 3 hours, right? This person has like 6 hours of free time every day. I mean, let's do the math here. You sleep for 8, that's fair. You work for 8, that's not fair. But let's just say 8 at 16. What's left? Well, that's easy. Another 8 hours. So, you know, it's not important how much you practice to me. But I will say, if you're a student of mine, I encourage you to be realistic. Set the bar higher than you want to. And when you fall short, because everybody will, at least your shortcomings will be further than the person with the low bar. All right, so it takes approximately 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to excel in your chosen field. Erickson was quoted by Gladwell in his book. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell. You know, I don't read a ton, but I should make more time by sight reading books. That won't really count, though, obviously. All right, so if you do 3 hours a day of practice every day of the week, you're looking at like less than 10 years to get your 10,000 hours. If you bump that up by a half hour, you are shaving off an extra almost year and a half, okay? So a year and a third. If you could go to 4 hours, now you just took off a year and a half, or 0.8 years. What's the math here? A year. Is that right? Is that math right? We'll have to check that math. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And remember, what we're trying to do here is start talking about the conversation of practice habits, okay? All right, and we'll talk soon. And remember, it's never okay to feel poorly, not even yourself, and every chord needs a friend.